Hi friends, my name is Nandita. I am from Andhra Pradesh.
Good morning dear students. Today we are going to discuss about microorganisms, friend and foe from Cbse syllabus grade 8th. Children, you have seen several kinds of plants and animals. However, there are other living organisms around us which we normally cannot see. These are called microorganisms or microbes. For examples, you might have observed that during the rainy season, moist bread gets spoiled and its surface gets covered with grayish white patches. Isn't it? Observe these patches through a magnifying glass. You will see a tiny black rounded structures. Do you know what these structures are and where these come from? Children, do you find tiny organisms moving around us? This observation shows that the water and soil are fully of tiny organisms. Though not all often them fall into the category of microbes, these organisms or microbes are so small in size that they cannot be seen with the unaided eye. Some of these, such as fungus that grow on bread, can be seen with a magnifying glasses. Others cannot be seen with the help of microscope. That is why these are called microorganisms or microbes. Now let us discuss what are microbes or microorganisms. Microbes or microorganisms are tiny organisms which are so small that we cannot see them with an unaided eye. Some microorganisms can be seen with the help of magnifying glasses, such as fungus that grow on bread, while some can only be seen when you use a microscope, such as bacteria and protozoa. Microorganisms were first observed by Antony van Leeuwenhoek, viral bacteria and protozoal diseases. Microorganisms are classified into four major groups. These groups are bacteria, fungi, protozoa, and some algae. Now let us discuss about bacteria. Bacteria are small, single-celled organisms. Bacteria are found almost everywhere on the earth and are vital to the planet ecosystems. Some species can live under extreme conditions of temperature and pressure. The human body is full of bacteria and is estimated to contain more bacterial cells than human cells. Bacteria are one of the oldest life forms. They are unicellular, that is, they are made up of one cell. They appear in a variety of shapes, size. They inhabited soil, water, radioactivity, waste, and the deep portions of the earth crust. In fact, they also live in plant and animal bodies. Children, bacteria live in colonies. Some of them are autotrophic, means they prepare their own food, while others are heterotropics, means they depend on others for their food. Bacteria are single-celled organisms with prokaryotic cells, which are single cells that they do not have organelles or a true nucleus and are less complex than eukaryotic cells. Bacteria with a capital B refers to the domain bacteria, one of these three domains of life. The other two domains of life are archaea, membranes of which are also single-celled organisms with prokaryotic cells, and eukaryota. Bacteria are extremely numerous and the total biomass of bacteria on the earth is more than all the planets and animals combined. Children, now let us discuss the evolution of bacteria. Bacteria first arose on the earth approximately 4 billion years ago and then were the first form of the life on the earth. For 3 billion years, bacteria and archaea were the most prevalent kinds of organisms on the earth. Multicellular eukaryotes did not appear until around 1.6 billion years ago. Eukaryotic cell, which make up all the protists, fungi, animals and plants, also contain what was one bacteria. It is thought that the mitochondria in eukaryotes, which produces energy through cellular respiration, and chloroplast in plants and algae, which produces energy through photosynthesis, both evolved from bacteria that got taken up into the cells in endosymbiotic, means mutually benefiting relationship that comes permanent over time. Now let us discuss the structure of bacteria. The structure of bacteria is known for its simple body design. Bacteria are single-celled microorganisms with the absence of nucleus and other cell organelles. Hence, these are classified as prokaryotic organisms. They are also very versatile organisms, surviving in extremely inhospitable conditions also. Such organisms are also called extremophilises. Extremophiles are further categorized into various types based on the types of environments they inhabited. And these are thermophiles, acidophiles, alkaliphiles, osmophiles, barophiles, cryophiles, etc. Another fascinating feature of bacteria is their protective cell wall, which is made up of a special protein called peptidoglycan. This particular protein isn't it found in anywhere else in nature except in the cell walls of bacteria, but few of them are devoid of the cell wall and others have third protein protection layer called capsule. On the outer layer, one or more flagella or pilia is attached and it is functions as an locomotory organ. Pili can also help certain bacteria to attach themselves to the host cells. They do not contain any cell organelles as in animal or plant cell except of ribosomes. Ribosomes are the sites of protein synthesis. In addition to this DNA, they have an extracircular DNA called plasmid. These plasmids make some strains of bacteria resistant to antibiotics. Let us discuss the bacterial characteristics. Bacteria are single-celled organisms. They lack organelles such as chloroplast and mitochondria, and they do not have the true nucleus found in eukaryotic cells. Instead of their DNA, a double-stranded that is continuous and circular is located in a nucleoid. Together, the cell membrane and cell wall are referred to as the cell envelope. Many bacteria need a cell wall in order to survive. Reproduction occurs through binary fusion, which is the splitting of bacterial cell after it reaches a certain size. Bacteria reproduce asexually so that the two daughter cells that result from binary fusion have the same DNA as the parent cell. However, some bacteria can also exchange genetic material among one another in the process known as horizontal gene transfer. This method involves two already existing bacteria. It is not a form of transmission from parent to child. Bacteria can be classified into various categories based on their features and characteristics. The classification of bacteria is mainly based on the following. First one is composition of the cell wall, second one is mode of respiration, and third one is mode of nutrition. Let us discuss about the classification of bacteria based on the composition of the cell wall. The type of first one is peptidoglycan cell wall. Examples of this is gram-positive bacteria and lipopolysaccharide cell wall, and example of this is gram-negative bacteria. Now let us see what is classification of bacteria based on the shape. Now let us discuss the classification of bacteria on the mode of nutrition. Bacteria can be classified into autotrophic and heterotrophic. Autotrophic bacteria comes under the example of cyanobacteria, whereas the heterotrophic bacteria comes under all diseases causing bacteria. Bacteria can be classified into two types on the mode of respiration, that is anaerobic bacteria. Examples are actinomyces, and aerobic bacteria. Examples are mycobacterium. Here, based on the shape, bacteria are classified into bacillus, rod shape, and spirilla or spirochete, spiral, and coccus, spear, comma shaped, circular shaped. We can see in diplo in pairs, rod shapes, Cucurbitaceae in oval shapes, curved forms, Vibrio curved rod, other shapes like Helicobacter helical, and Strepto in chains, Streptobacilli, and Spirali coli, Cornea bacteria, Mycobacteria, Spirochete, Streptomyces. These are the few shapes of bacteria. Bacteria come in myriad of shapes. Three main shapes of bacteria are coccus, spiral, and bacillus. Cocci are bacteria that are spherical or void in shape. Some cocci remain attached after binary fusion even though separate cells have been formed. For example, diplococci are cocci in pairs, streptococci are in chains, and staphylococci are clusters, and multicocci tetrads are square arrangements of 4 cocci, while scarcinae are cubes of 8 cocci. Spiral bacteria are the name suggested spiral shaped. Spirillums are thick, tough spirals. Spirochetes are spirals that are thin and flexible. Vibroaceae are comma-shaped rods with a small twist. Bacilli are a rod-shaped bacteria like cocci, can be solitary or arranged together. Diplobacilli are two bacilli arranged next to each other, and streptobacilli are chains of bacilli. Bacteria can also be other shapes such as filamentous, means long and thin, square, star-shaped, and stalk. The diagram depicts the numerous shapes of bacteria. Let us discuss the types of bacteria. The cell wall also makes gram staining possible. Gram staining is a method of staining bacteria involving crystal violet dye, iodine, and counter stain saffron. Many bacteria can be classified into one or two types. One is gram positive, which shows the stain and appear violet in color under a microscope, and gram negative, which only shows the counter stain and appears red. Gram positive bacteria appears violet because they have thick cell wall that traps the crystal violet iodine complex. The thin cell walls of gram negative bacteria cannot hold the violet iodine complex, but they can hold saffron. This makes gram negative bacteria appears red under gram staining. Gram staining is used for general identification of bacteria to detect the presence of certain bacteria. It cannot be used to identify bacteria in a specific way. Such has it a special level. Examples of gram positive bacteria included the general Listeria, Streptococcus, and Bacillus, while gram negative bacteria include Proteobacteria, green sulfur bacteria, and cyanobacteria. Now let us discuss some of the examples of bacteria. First one is Escherichia coli is one example of common species of bacteria. It is a bacillus shaped and found naturally in the intestine of many animals including humans, where it is produced produces vitamin K and B complex vitamins. E. coli is also often used in laboratory researches since it produces quickly and is hardy. Most strains of E. coli are harmless to humans, but some can cause infections. E. coli infection can be result in gastrointestinal problems like diarrhea and is one more severe cases bacterial meningitis and pneumonia can occur. Another type of bacteria is the Lactobacillus acidophilus is another bacillus-shaped species of bacteria naturally found in places like the intestine and vagina, where it protects against harmful bacteria. It is a probiotic bacterium found in certain food like yogurt and other fermented foods that is consumed in order to help absorb nutrients and replenish the body's supply of good bacteria. It can also be consumed in small amounts by people with lactose intolerance in order to help them consume lactose. Now let us discuss the reproduction in bacteria. Children, already we discussed that bacteria follows an asexual mode of reproduction called binary fusion. A single bacterium divides into two daughter cells. These are identical to the parent cell as well as to each other. Replication of DNA within the parent bacterium marks the beginning of the fusion. Eventually, the cell elongates to form two daughter cells. The rate and timing of reproduction depend upon the conditions like temperature and availability of nutrients. When there is a favorable conditions, E. coli or Escherichia coli produces about 2 million bacteria every 7 hours. Bacterial reproduction is strictly asexual, but it can undergo sexual reproduction in very rare cases. Genetic recombination in bacteria has the potential to occur through conjugation, transformation, and transduction. In such cases, the bacteria may become resistant to antibiotics since there is a variation in the genetic material. Children, prokaryotic, an organism that has a single prokaryotic cell, bacteria, and archaea are prokaryotes. Binary fusion, the method by which bacteria reproduces asexually through dividing. Probiotic, a bacterium that helps maintain a healthy digestive tract when consumed. Horizontal gene transfer between two organisms that are not parent and offspring. Children, now let us discuss the useful bacteria. Not all bacteria are harmful to humans. These are some bacteria which are beneficial in different ways. Listed below are the few benefits of bacteria such as converted milk into curd, lactobacillus or lactic acid bacteria, fermented food products, streptococcus and bacillus help in digestion and improves the body immune system, actinobacteria, bacteroidetes, firmicutes, Proteobacteria, production of antibiotics which is used in the treatment and prevention of bacterial infections and etc. Children, now let us discuss about harmful bacteria. There are bacteria that can cause a multitude of illness. They are responsible for many of the infection diseases like pneumonia, tuberculosis, diphtheria, syphilis, tooth decay, etc. Their effect can be rectified by taking antibiotics and prescribed medication. However, precautions is much more effective. Most of these diseases causing bacteria can be eliminated by fertilizing or disinfecting exposed surfaces, instruments, tools, and other utilities. These methods include application of heat, disinfectants, UV radiations, pasteurization, boiling, etc. Children, now let us discuss about fungi. Children, you would have seen fungi as a white layer on bread when you leave it outside at room temperature for a quite few days. Yes, fungi get a favorable conditions and therefore they grow. But the same bread when you kept inside a refrigerator remains fresh for a long period of time. Fungi are multicellular organisms, that is they are made up of multi cells. They are heterotrophic and means depend others for their food. They live in colonies and prefer warm and moist places to grow. They are immovable. Some common examples of fungi are yeast, mushroom, molds, and organisms of kingdom fungi have capacity to become multicellular at some stage of their levels. Some are unicellular. These are eukaryotics and they have cell wall made up of tough complex sugar called chitin. Some of these organisms use decaying organic matter as food, so they are called septotrophs. Some require a living protoplasm of host organism for food. They are called parasites. Example yeast, molds and mushroom. Some fungal species live in permanent mutually dependent relationship with blue-green algae. Examples are cyanobacteria. This relationship is called symbiosis and the symbiotic life forms are called as lichens. We can see lichens as the slow growing multicolored patches on the barks of the tree. Now let us discuss the characteristic features of fungi. Children, fungi are unicellular or multicellular and filamentous. All fungi are made up of fine threads called hyphae. Fungi are plant-like organisms. They have cell wall. They lack chlorophyll and that's why they do not perform the process of photosynthesis. Fungi store food in the form of glycogen instead of starch. Examples of fungi are yeast, mold, as we discussed earlier, such as penicillium, bread mold, and aspergillus, mushroom, etc. Children's study of fungi is called mycology. Now let us discuss the habitat of fungi. Fungi are present everywhere and in any habitat. They are found in desert, cold regions, sea water, fresh water, in soil, on plants and animals, human skin, etc. They grow best in dark, warm, moist places. Now let us discuss the mode of nutrition in fungi. Fungi look like plant but they cannot make their own food. Fungi also heterotrophic, that is they depend upon another organisms for their food. Fungi generally grow saprophytic or parasitic mode of nutrition. Saprophytic fungi obtain their nutrients from non-living organic matter, usually dead and decaying plants and animals matter, by absorbing soluble organic compounds. Parasitic fungi lives in or other organisms and get their nutrients from their host. It generally causes diseases or illness to the host. Now let us discuss the mode of reproduction in fungi. The reproduction of fungi can be either sexual or asexual. In a asexual mode of reproduction, fungi reproduced by fragmentation, budding, produces spores, etc. The majority of fungi reproduce asexually. Children, let us discuss the advantages of fungi in day-to-day life and its usage. Fungi are decomposers. They are good for the soil and cleaning up the environment. Many fungi are used for the production of antibiotics. For example, penicillium is a fungus which produces antibiotic called penicillin. All mushrooms, including the ones we eat, a large fungi. Yeast is another useful fungus which is used in many fermentations processes. Children, now let us discuss the disadvantages of fungi. Many saprophytic fungi spoil our foods, clothes, leather, articles, etc. Example, you have noticed that cottony growth on leather or a steel belt. Eating such food can make you ill. Many fungus can cause human diseases. Some fungal species produces toxic that affects the plant animal plants, animals, and humans also. Children, now let us discuss about protozoa. There are mostly unicellular that are made up of one cell organism. Protozoa is a single celled organism as an amoeba or paramecium that is a protist and it is capable of movement. Protozoan organisms of kingdom Protista are unicellular. There are eukaryotic. Some of these organisms use appendages such as hair-like cilia or whip-like flagella for locomotion, means moving around. The mode of nutrition can be either by synthesis their own food, that is autotrophic, or getting it from the environment, that is by heterotrophic method. And they prefer moist aquatic habitats. They can live in singly, unlike bacteria and fungi. Some common examples of protozoa are amoeba, paramecium, etc. Unicellular algae, diatoms, protozoans, euglena are also examples of protozoa. Protozoa are heterotrophic organisms which do not fully plant or animal. Children, now let us discuss why protozoa were considered as animals. Protozoa were unicellular microorganisms which do not fully resemble plant or animal. The word protozoa means early animals. Early protozoa were considered as animals as they do not have cell wall and they can move. Apart from few examples of protozoa which contains chlorophyll are either saprophytic and parasitic. The protozoa which contains chlorophyll lack other plant characteristics. Now let us discuss the habitats of protozoa. Protozoa can be found in fresh water, saline water, ponds, lakes, dirty water, drains, rivers, sea water, and also in damp soil. Some parasitic protozoans also live in the bodies of other organisms including human beings. Examples of protozoa: Giardia, amoeba, paramecium, euglena, etc. Children, now let us discuss how protozoa can move and feed themselves. The most important characteristic of protozoa is that they can move from one place to another place. Let us discuss one of the examples of amoeba. Amoeba, are a single cell organisms look like mass of protoplasm which no fixed shape. It can move in any direction by extending pedicopodium, and pedicopodium is also called as a false feet. A pedicopodium is formed by the flow or of protoplasm in the direction of movement. Pedicopodia helps amoeba in feeding. It extends to encircle the food particle which is then taken by the cell and digested. Amoeba feeds tiny algae and bacteria. Now let us discuss about paramecium. This is a slippery shaped protozoan which lives in ponds and detaches, swims by beating its cilia against water. Movement of cilia helps to direct food and water into our oral groove in paramecium. Paramecium feeds on small algae and bacteria. Waste matter of paramecium is thrown out through an anal pore. Now let us discuss about euglena. Euglena is found in ponds, detaches and other stagnant water bodies. The body of euglena is spindle shaped, slightly elongated and traps at the top. At one end of euglena has flagellum which they use to move from one place to another. Some euglena has two flagella. Euglena with the chlorophyll normally obtain food through photosynthesis. Euglena which lives in dark conditions ingest food particles through a mouth-like opening leading called a gullet. This organism has characteristics of both plants and animals. Euglena contains chlorophyll and that's why That's why most of them are autotrophs. Even Euglena has chlorophyll and leaf has autotroph. It doesn't come under a plant kingdom because they do not have cell wall. Some Euglena do not have chlorophyll and leaves has saprotrophs or parasites. Children, now let us discuss the advantages of protozoa. Saprophytic protozoans benefits the environment by decomposing organic matter in the soil. Parasitic protozoans prey on bacteria and algae, helps to regulate the population of bacteria and algae. Children, now let us discuss the disadvantages of protozoa. Many protozoa are parasites and causes many diseases. Diseases like dysentery and malaria are caused by protozoa. For example, entomobia causes amoebic dysentery. Protozoans, namely Plasmodium, causes diseases like malaria in human beings. Plasmodium is commonly known as a malarial parasite also. Children, now let us discuss about algae. Algae are multicellular organisms made up of multiple cells. They prefer mostly aquatic habitats. Some common examples of protozoa are Spirogyra, Lothrix, Chlamydomonas. Now let us discuss the structure of algae. Algae are unicellular or multicellular organisms. Some algae cells join each other to form filament and some have branches or fronds. Both unicellular and multicellular algae live as individual or in colonies. Algae is being found in different forms, unicellular forms or multicellular forms or a colonial form like volvox. Unicellular forms examples as algae are as follows like Chlamydomonas. It is green single cellular algae. They are generally oval, spherical or peared shape. Flagella is used for locomotion. Children, now let us discuss the habitat of algae. Algae lives mostly in an aquatic environment floating on the water. Many times they are found in ponds, lakes and seawater. Some algae live on the bark of the tree and some on moist soil and rocks. Some algae are also found in snow and some in hot spring. Now let us discuss the mode of nutrition in algae. Algae are considered as autotrophs, as well of them have chlorophyll in it. Most algae groups are considered photoautotrophs. They depend entirely upon their photosynthetic apparatus for their food production, using sunlight as a source of energy and CO2 as a source of carbon to produce their food. Many of the algae have a symbiotic relationship with plants and animals. Children, now let us discuss the types of algae. Based on the pigment found in the cells, they are classified into following groups. Algae are classified into blue-green algae, green algae and brown algae. Now let us discuss about blue-green algae. They have blue pigment along with chlorophyll. Nucleus is not present in blue-green algae. They are more like bacteria and therefore they are called as cyanobacteria and they live in fresh water. Let us discuss about green algae. This contains mainly chlorophyll. They live in fresh water. Green algae are singular green alga or photosynthetic algae that are characterized by having chlorophylls A and B has the predominant pigments, those rendering them green in color. They store food as starch within plastids. They include the chlorophytes and they are charophytes. Now let us discuss about brown algae. Brown algae contains brown pigment in addition to chlorophyll. Brown algae generally marine. Many seaweeds are brown algae which are almost 50 to 60 meter long. Now let us discuss about red algae. Red algae contains red pigments besides chlorophyll. Red algae are generally marine. Red algae or rhodophyte are one of the oldest groups of eukaryotic algae. The rhodophyte also comprises one of the largest phyla of algae, containing over 7,000 currently recognized species with taxonomic revisions ongoing. Now let us discuss the uses of algae. Children, algae are the major source of food for fishes, prawns and many aquatic animals. Sea algae is eaten by many. Most of the oxygen is the atmospheric is released by algae. Red algae yield algine substance used to the thicken cosmetics and food items like ice cream, jelly, coma, chocolates, etc. Agar is a solidifying substance obtained from red algae used in microbiological research. Algae also consumes huge amount of carbon dioxide, which is good for our ecosystem. Now let us discuss the disadvantages of algae. Algal blooms can be toxic and it harms aquatic ecosystem and human health. Children, now let us discuss about viruses. Viruses are also microscopic. They are not considered as microorganisms because they behave like non-living organisms when outside the host and reproduce only when inside the host cell. You might know, children, microbes only for causing harm to human beings by causing diseases and making us ill. But the truth is microbes are also beneficial to us in a variety of ways. They help in preparation of several household industrial products like curd, cake, bread, antibiotics, beverages, etc. They also help in the environment acting as decomposers and biofertilizers. They play an important role in sewage treatment as well as. Viruses are smallest organisms and can be seen only under an electronic microscope. Let us discuss the characteristics of viruses. Children, viruses do not show any characteristic of living things. Viruses do not have an organized cell structure. Viruses do not respire, feed, grow, excrete, move on their own. Virus can only reproduce if they enter in a living cell or other organism. When virus enters into any living cell, it starts behaving like a living thing by carrying out the process of reproduction. Outside the living cell, viruses behave as a non-living thing. Due to all these reasons, viruses are considered to be an intermediate form between the living and non-living thing. Children, now let us discuss the structure of virus. Viruses do not have an organization structure. Viruses are cellular, that is, their body has no cellular substance or nucleus. Virus consists of a nuclear material coated with proteins. Viruses typically have one or two strands of DNA or RNA. The genetic material of viruses are covered with a protective coat of protein called capsid. Children, now let us discuss how do viruses grow and how viruses reproduce. Children, viruses cannot reproduce by themselves. Viruses attaches itself to a specific host cell or the cell within it can reproduce. After attaching the host cell, virus infects the nuclear material inside the host cell. The nuclear material of virus attached to the nuclear material of the host cell. The nucleic material of virus take the custody of the manufacturing system of the cell. The host cell ignores its own need and switches to make new viruses. The host cell sometimes destroy in the process and many of the new viruses are released to infect the other host cells. Children, now let us discuss the advantages of virus. Even though viruses has lots of disadvantages, but some viruses play a vital important role in ecosystem. For example, the bacteria phase, which are also called as bacterial virus, plays an important role in marine ecology and carbon cycle. Bacteriophages in the sewage has the ability to kill harmful bacteria and keep the bacterial level in control. Scientists are caring to find out viruses which can be used to kill bacteria and can be used instead of antibiotics. Now let us discuss the disadvantages of virus. Viruses have many disadvantages as they are the agent of many diseases. Virus causes diseases to many animals and plants. Human diseases such as common cold, influenza, measles, chickenpox, smallpox are all caused by virus. HIV or common immune deficiency virus causes AIDS in human beings and some animals. Children, now let us discuss where do these microorganisms live. Microorganisms are found in air, water and the bodies of plants and animals. They can live in all kinds of environment ranging from ice cold climate to hot spring, desert and marshy lands. There are also found inside the bodies of animals including human beings. Some microorganisms grow on other microorganisms while others exist freely. Microorganisms may be single-celled like bacteria. Some algae and protozoa are multicellular such as many algae and fungi. So they may be unicellular or multicellular. Viruses through different form from the above mentioned living organisms are referred to as microbes. Viruses are quite different from other microorganisms. They reproduce only inside the cell of the host organisms like bacterium, plant or animal. Children, now let us discuss about microorganisms and us. Microorganisms play an important role in our lives. Sometimes they are beneficial in many ways, whereas some other are harmful and causes diseases. Let us study about them in detail. Now let us discuss about friendly microorganisms. Microorganisms are used for various purposes. They are used in the preparation of curd, bread and cake. Microorganisms have been used for the production of alcohol since ages. They are also used in cleaning up the environment. For the example of organic matters, vegetables, peels, remains of animals, feces, etc. And these are broken down into harmless and unsustainable by the bacteria. Recall the bacteria are also used in the preparation of medicines. In agriculture, they are used to increase soil fertility by fixing nitrogen. Children, now let us discuss the useful of microorganisms. As we discussed that microorganisms are also useful in the following ways, such as in food and beverage industries, in making medicines and vaccines, in agriculture and cleaning method. Now let us discuss the making of bread and curd, how these microorganisms will be useful. Children, you have learnt in class 7 that milk is turned into curd by the bacteria. The curd contains several microorganisms. Of this, the bacterium lactobacillus promotes the formation of curd. It multiplies in milk and converts it into curd. Bacteria are also involved in the making of cheese, pickles and many other food items. An important ingredient of rava, idlis, cakes and bhatras is curd. Can you guess why? Bacteria and yeast are also helpful for fermentation of rice, idlis and dosha batter. Many fungi like mushrooms and morels are edible, which are rich. Yeast is also used in breweries for making wines and process of fermentation. Children, now let us discuss the commercial uses of microorganisms. Microorganisms are used for the large scale production of alcohol, wine and acetic acid like vinegar. Yeast is used for the commercial production of alcohol and wine. For this purpose, yeast is grown on natural sugar present in grains like barley, white rice, crushed fruit juices, etc. Take a 500 ml of beaker children filled up with 3 by 4th of water, dissolve 2-3 spoons of sugar in it and add a half spoon of yeast powder to the sugar solution. Keep it covered in a warm place for 4 to 5 hours. Now smell the solution. You can get a smell. This is smell too of alcohol as sugar has been converted into alcohol by yeast. This process of conversion of sugar into alcohol is known as fermentation, and Louis Pasteur discovered fermentation in 1857. Children, now let us discuss the medicinal usage of microorganisms. Whenever you fall ill, the doctor may give you some antibiotic tablets, isn't it? Maybe in the form of capsules or injections, such as a penicillin also. The source of these medicines is microorganisms. These medicines kill or stop the growth of diseases causing microorganisms. Such medicines are called antibiotics. Their uses as number of antibiotics are being produced from bacteria and fungi. Streptomycin, tetraclinine and erythromycin are some of the common known antibiotics which are made up of fungi and bacteria. The antibiotics are manufactured by growing specific microorganisms and are also used to cure a variety of diseases. Antibiotics are even mixed with the feed of livestock and poultry to check microbial infections in animals. They are also used to control many plant diseases. Children, germs are all around us, both in environment and in our bodies. When a person is susceptible and they encounter a harmful organism, it can be lead to diseases and death. The body has many ways of defending itself against the pathogens such as skin, mucus and cilia. All works as physical barriers to prevent pathogens from entering the body in the first place. When a pathogen does not infect the body, our body defense called the immune system are triggered and the pathogen is attacked and the destroy or overcome. Children, now let us discuss how to cure these diseases. Children, why are the infants or children are given by vaccination? Let us discuss. When a disease carrying microbe enters our body, the body produces antibodies to fight the invader. The body also remembers how to fight the microbe if it enters again. If dead or weakened microbes are introduced into a healthy body. The body fights and kills the invading bacteria by producing suitable antibodies. The antibodies remain in the body and we are protected from the diseases causing microbes forever. This is how a vaccine works. Several diseases including cholera, tuberculosis, smallpox and hepatitis can be prevented by vaccination. In your childhood, you must have been given injections to protect yourself against several diseases. Edward Jenner discovered the vaccine for the smallpox in 1798. It is important to remember that the antibiotic should be taken only on the advice of a qualified doctor. Also, you must complete the course prescribed by the doctor. If you take antibiotics when not needed or in a wrong dose, it may make us the drug less effective when you may need it in future. Also, antibiotics taken unnecessarily may kill the beneficial bacteria in the body. Antibiotics, however, are not effective against cold and flu as these are caused by the virus. Children, now let us discuss how vaccines can help to our body. Children, vaccines contain weakened or inactive parts of the particular organisms that triggers an immune responses within the body. Newer vaccines contain the blueprint for producing antigens rather than the antigen itself. Regardless of whether the vaccine is made up of the antigen itself or the blueprint, so that the body will produce the antigen, this weakened version will not cause the disease in the person receiving the vaccine. but it will promote their immune system to respond much as it would have on its first reaction to the actual pathogen. Some vaccines require multiple doses given weeks or months apart. This is sometimes needed to allow for the production of a long-lived antibodies and develop of memory cells. In this way, the body is trained to fight the specific diseases causing organisms, building up memory of the pathogen so as to rapidly fight it if and when exposed in the future. Children, now let us discuss what is the herd immunity imperative. Vaccines does not just work on an individual level, they protect entire populations. Once enough people are immunized, opportunities for an outbreak of diseases become so low even people who aren't immunized benefit. Essentially, a bacterial or virus simply won't have enough eligible host to establish a foothold and will eventually die out entirely. This phenomena is called as herd immunity or community immunity, and it has allowed once devastating diseases to be eliminated entirely without needing to vaccinate every individual. Children, now let us discuss about vaccines and our immune systems. Children, already we discussed that vaccines give our immunity to a disease without getting risk first. They are made using killed or weakened versions of disease causing germs or part of the germs called antigens. For some vaccines, antigenetic engineering is used to make the antigens used in the vaccine. It's much safer to get a vaccine than to get the disease it prevents. When you get a vaccine, your immune system responds to the vaccine the same way it would be the real germ. It recognizes the germs in the vaccine as being foreign and responds by making antibodies to the germs in the vaccine. It just as it would for the real germ. Remember the germs and how it to destroy it. That's why if you are ever exposed to the disease causing germs in the future, your immune system will be able to quickly destroy it before it has a chance to make you sick. This is how you get immunity from vaccines. Children, in 1929, Alexander Fleming was working on a culture of disease-causing bacteria. Suddenly, he found the pores of a little green mold in one of his culture plates. He observed that the presence of mold prevents the growth of bacteria. In fact, it also killed many of these bacteria. From this mold, penicillin was prepared. It is important to remember that the antibiotics should be taken only on the advice of a qualified doctor. Children, now can you prepare a list of these diseases? Yes, you may take help from your parents. It is essential to protect all the children against the diseases. Necessary vaccines are available in nearby the hospitals. You might have seen the advertisements on TV and newspapers regarding the protection of the children against polio under the Pulse Polio program. Polio drops given to the children are actually a vaccine. A worldwide campaign against the smallpox has finally led its eradication from most parts of the world. These days, vaccines are made on a large scale from microorganisms to protect humans and other animals from several diseases. Bacteria and yeast are used in making vitamin B complex tablets. The human hormonal caused insulin can also be obtained from bacteria. Edward Jenner discovered the vaccine from smallpox in 1798. Children, now let us discuss the increasing soil fertility by bacteria. Some bacteria are able to fix nitrogen from the atmosphere to enrich soil with nitrogen and increase its fertility. These microbes are commonly called biological nitrogen fixers. The biological nitrogen fixation (BNF) is termed as the process in which nitrogen gas N2 from the atmosphere is incorporated into the tissues of certain plants. Only a selected group of plants is able to obtain N this way with the help of soil microorganisms. Let us discuss the presence of microorganisms in agriculture. Some bacteria like Rhizobium, blue-green algae like nostoc live in the root of nodules of plants such as gram and pea, etc. This bacteria absorbs the nitrogen of the atmosphere and convert it into nitrates, which serves as natural fertilizers for plants, hence enhancing soil fertility. Now let us see how these microbes clean the environment. Microbes helps to keep environment clean by decomposing dead matter. The decomposed substance are recycled as these get reused from the soil by plants. You often see a large amount of dead organic matter in the form of decaying plants and sometimes dead animals on the ground. You find that they disappear after some time. This is because the microorganisms decompose dead organic waste of plants and animals, converting them into simple substance. These substances are again used by other plants and animals. Thus, the microorganisms can be used to degrade the harmful and smelly substance and thereby clean up the environment. Some bacteria decompose sewage and others waste in water. This is in nature's method of keeping the environment free from pollution. Children, now let us discuss about the harmful microorganisms. Microorganisms are harmful in many ways. Some of these microorganisms causes diseases in humans, plants and animals. Such diseases causing microorganisms are called as pathogens. Some microorganisms spoil food, clothing and leather. Let us study about the harmful activities. Now let us discuss the diseases causing microorganisms in humans. Children, pathogens enters our body through the air we breathe, the water we drink or the food we eat. They can also get transmitted by direct contact with an infected person or carried by an animal. The microbial diseases that can spread from an infected person to a healthy person through air, water, food, or physical contact are all called communicable diseases. Examples such diseases include cholera, common cold, chickenpox, tuberculosis, etc. Children, now let us discuss how do we prevent the spread of communicable diseases. Children, when a person suffering from common cold sneezes, fine droplets of moisture carrying thousands of viruses spread in the air. The virus may enter the body of a healthy person while breathing and cause an infection. We should keep an handkerchief on the nose and mouth while sneezing. It is better to keep a distance from an infected person. There are some insects and animals which act as carriers of disease causing microbes. Houseflies is one such carrier. The flies sit on the garbage and animal excreta. The pathogens stick to their bodies. When these flies sit on uncovered food, they may transfer the pathogens. Whoever eats the contaminated food is likely to get sick. So it is advisable to always keep food covered, avoiding consuming uncovered items of food. And another example of carrier is the female Anopheles mosquito, which carries the parasite of malaria plasmodium, and the female Aedes mosquito act as a carrier of dengue virus. Children, now let us discuss how can we control the spread of malaria or dengue. All mosquitoes breed in water, hence one should not let water collected anywhere in coolers, tires, flower pots, etc. By keeping the surroundings clean and dry, we can prevent mosquitoes from breeding. Try to make a list of measures which help to avoid the spread of malaria. Viruses are also microscopic but are different from other organisms. They, however, reproduce only inside the cell of the host organisms, which may be a bacterium, plant, or animal. Some of the viruses are common elements like cold, influenza, and most coughs are caused by virus. Serious diseases like polio and chickenpox are also caused by virus. Diseases like dysentery and malaria are caused by protozoa, whereas the typhoid and tuberculosis are bacterial diseases. Children, now let us discuss about it. These are some of the common diseases affecting humans, their mode of transmission, and a few general methods of prevention. Children, let us look at the table of some human diseases which are caused by the microbes. Tuberculosis causing by bacteria and the mode of transmission through air, and the prevent measures of this bacterial is to keep the patient in complete isolation, keep the person belongings to the patient away from those of the others, and vaccination to be given at a suitable stage. Children, human diseases like measles, chickenpox, polio are also caused by virus, and the mode of transmission is through or contact or through by water. For same prevention should be taken the patient to keep the patient to complete isolation and keep the personal belongings to the patient away from the others, and vaccinated to be given. Now let us discuss about some of the human diseases like cholera and typhoid. Cholera and typhoid are caused by bacteria, and mode of transmission of these diseases is from food and water, and preventive measures for these diseases are maintain personal hygiene and good sanitary habitats, consume properly cooked food and boiled drinking water, and vaccination. Children, now let us another type of disease like hepatitis A. It is caused by virus, and mode of transmission is through water. Drink boiled water and vaccination. Now let us discuss another human disease called malaria, and it is caused by protozoa, and mode of transmission is mosquito. Children, preventing this disease by using mosquito nets and repellents, spray insecticides, and control breeding of mosquitoes by not allowing water to collect in the surrounding. Children, now let us discuss the disease causing microorganisms in animals. Several microorganisms not only causing diseases in humans and plants but also in other animals. For example, anthrax is a dangerous human and cattle disease caused by bacterium. Foot and mouth diseases of cattle is caused by a virus. Children, now let us discuss about the disease causing microorganism in plants. Children, several microorganisms causes diseases in plants like wheat, rice, potato, sugarcane, orange, apple, and others. The diseases reduce the field of crops. See in the table from such as plant disease. They can be controlled by using certain chemicals which kill the microbes. Thank you.